Welcome to Nerds Amalgamated, a podcast that covers the latest events in science, pop culture, and gaming.
I'm the professor, aspiring game developer, sci-fi aficionado, and completely and undeniably a geek trying to take over the world. I'll be breaking down the news from tech to gaming.
I am the DJ, a humble nerd, a big weeb,
and a watcher from the halls of the multiverse.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'll be breaking down all things comics to movies to anime.
Join us and stay hydrated as we quench you with witty banter, unintentionally hilarious hot takes, and trivia more fun than a night at the pub, courtesy of Nerds Amalgamated.
Welcome to another episode of Nerds Amalgamated. How's it going there, Professor?
The usual.
What? Nothing happened? No crazy events? No Earth torn asunder?
Well, I haven't looked out my window for a while, but I'm assuming the Earth is still there.
Enjoying. Finally, we get some sunshine after how many days of rain? 2 or 3 days of rain.
Yeah, it's only a little sunny though.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Anyways, this week we got that one time Nintendo lost in court, space grown meds, and the death of Doctor Who.
It's not
Red.
dead.
It is dead. You just refuse to accept it.
It's not dead. It's
I don't
getting
know.
better.
That's what unlike the media event, unlike the media reports that's coming out though.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about those when we get.
Anyways, Professor, take it away with the first topic.
Well, we've got Nintendo being forced to do stuff in Europe. So they've agreed to pay a $35 million fine for joycon drift by the French regulator. The Directorate for Competition, Consumer Affairs and Fraud. Now, the big problem is that $35 million is really not that much compared to how much Nintendo made off the Joy-Cons.
What is it like? It's like chump change at this figure.
Yeah. So, it's not really a punishment. It's money you can find down behind your couch.
Yeah, this is like a speeding ticket, not like it's not gonna affect them in the long run. It's just like I got a speeding ticket. That's fine. I'm all good.
Yeah, well, I think it's some Scandinavian countries
Hmm.
actually scale your speeding ticket based on your income.
Oh, there.
So if you're a millionaire CEO, you can get fined a seriously large amount for speeding.
Gosh. But the Joy-Cons, they came out when again?
With the Switch, which I believe launched in 2017,
Wow.
and it took until 2020 for Nintendo to make a statement, and we're yet to see whether the Switch 2 actually fixes the issue. I'd be a bit surprised considering current gen consoles all have terrible problems with drift for some reason. The wild thing is, the original Switch Joy-Cons were really easy to fix, at least temporarily. Stuff a piece of cardboard in. So
And then
all they needed to do to make them significantly more reliable was make that piece of plastic a little bit thicker in that one spot. But no, they did this instead and were investigated by the DGCCRF.
that's a mouthful.
Yeah, because they didn't do anything to fix the problem. And now they've been fined pocket change.
Yeah. Okay. My question would be: will any of that 35 million actually make it back to the port? The replacement controllers, or does that just disappear into the French government?
No, it goes to the French government.
Ah,
So, yeah, realistically, it would be nice to, well, hypothetically, it would be nice to have refunds for people who bought controllers affected by drift, but that would have to be done by a class action. There
and plus,
was one going on in the US, but it was dismissed in 2024.
really, what happened there?
I'll just pull up the article and have a look.
Also, with this $35 million fine, is this fine big enough to change Nintendo's behavior in this matter, or is it just we'll use something from from the balance sheet?
No, it's not enough to change behavior. Yeah, there's no details here on why the case was dismissed, but there have been several cases dismissed.
I mean, this is Nintendo. They are big evil when it comes to lawsuits.
I'm not sure Nintendo are any more evil than any other beloved game developer.
I, Although this establishes that the company knew about this defect and stayed quiet about this.
Yeah, I hope that the fine can be used as evidence for cases in other countries.
And not just other countries. I mean, this could be a meaningful precedent for every hardware manufacturer. You
Yeah,
reckon?
I've
Or
heard that the PS5 controllers drift, and they cost even more than the Joy-Cons.
yeah,
And I just don't understand because I don't remember this being an issue with previous gen consoles. So why is it an issue with the current gen ones? Like, I thought joysticks, well, not joysticks, but what do you call them? They're not really joysticks, they're the thumbsticks and controllers, were basically a solved issue because I don't remember this being such a major problem with any other console. But current gen, they all drift. That could just be the I was young and noticed it though.
yeah. And
So let
now
us
you,
know if you had old consoles that drifted. I know
uh
the Nintendo 64 actually. It didn't. Don't think it drifted, but the same way the Joy Cons would. But Mario Party was notorious for wearing out 64 controllers.
yeah, yeah. From a engineering standpoint, how hard is it to know a component has a failure rate problem versus just suspecting it? Like, is there a point where Nintendo could legitimately claim they didn't have conclusive evidence?
I don't know about the evidence side of things,
Hmm.
but the way you can tell if something is going to last is by doing an accelerated test. And that testing would basically involve putting the Joy-Con in a jig with a machine attached to it to wiggle the stick and just wiggle it for hundreds of hours until it fails. And then look at that and think, okay, that's unacceptable. Um,
So basically stress testing it to the point of absolute stress.
Yeah, and so it's definitely possible that Nintendo knew that drifting was an issue
Hmm.
and just decided it wasn't a big enough issue to do anything to mitigate it. But theoretically, newer generations of consoles, well, high end controllers, shouldn't drift at all because they have Hall effect and TMR sticks, which are theoretically immune to. We'll see in a few years.
Yeah. What's also going to be interesting from a right to repair perspective, how significant is this? Government regulation is achieving what consumer advocacy has been asking for years.
Well, that not exactly the case.
Hmm.
So this is just a fine. It doesn't say anything about the repairability, but that is a bit of a segue into my other Nintendo today,
Hmm?
which is that the Switch 2 is getting replaceable batteries for the Switch 2 and the Joy-Cons,
Oh,
but only in Europe.
oh shit!
Yeah, because a couple of years ago, the EU created a law that requires manufacturers to have accessible battery replacements by 2027. And there's some legalese there about the types of tools and how they have to provide information on how to do it. So we're getting a new version of the Switch 2 that will have a user replaceable battery. And I'm really interested to see how they do it because the original Switch, I replaced the battery in mine.
Hmm.
It wasn't a huge job, but it was glued in really tightly, and that was a pain because you got to be careful with these lithium pouch batteries because they like to catch fire.
So those new batteries. Are they eventually going to come to Australia, the US, or Japan, or is it just European?
Most likely, only if we bring in laws in Greece. I think it's unlikely that Nintendo will do it out of the goodness of their hearts.
Although, mind you,
Because one of
sorry.
the arguments companies have made against it is that it's more expensive to make replacement batteries.
Yeah, that explains the price increase to which is 499.99 US dollars and 499.99 euros effective in September.
Are they changing the price because of that, or because the price of everything's going up?
I'm guessing I'm from what I'm checking, it's I think it's because of just price of that, the former. That's what I'm guessing, but I'll have a look.
I think that it's going to be mostly because the price of everything is going up, like RAM and chips and all that. because they want to make a certain margin on consoles. And the margin that they're making is, yeah, the margin they will make on replaceable battery console is going to be less than, assuming they keep the price the same, it'll be less than for a standard console. But there's nothing. What am I saying? Okay, yeah, I'm getting a little bit in circles today. I haven't had my tea.
Well,
Anyway, my point is that I think they're not just increasing the price in response to,
mm,
because everybody is increasing their console prices at the same
yeah.
time.
Yeah, they said here, from I'm looking at the BBC article. They said here the company quote the company sincerely apologized for the impact of customers and said, and I quote, changes in market conditions have contributed to the decision. And when you go deeper into the article, they said here the RAM and storage have shot up in price. They've also used to build artificial data centers, and huge demands for those have drive up the costs.
Yeah, so they're going to blame it on the
Data centers.
AI and all that. Yeah,
But here's the thing though. So with the price increases that Nintendo has announced, if the EU model carries a premium on top of that, the European consumers are going to be paying more than everyone for the privilege of a right that they were legally guaranteed. I mean, that's one
yeah,
hell of a way to comply with consumer protection law.
yes. It would be interesting to see if down the line how much they increase the price by, and if the EU decides that that's done in response to the consumer rights laws.
Hmm.
Because I could see Nintendo, well, I could see any company really selling these sorts of things on the grey market, so through import stores, so you can like you know how people buy Valve hardware in Australia before it's officially released here.
Yeah, yeah.
They get it imported through slightly dodgy shops like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, they call that a grey market because it doesn't necessarily meet all of the regulations. And if Nintendo decided to sell through grey markets, as well as the EU version of the Switch, but they raised the price of the EU Switch to be so high that the only reasonable option was to go grey market, I could see the EU taking issue with that and punishing them for it.
And because it's the EU using market access as leverage to force hardware design changes and it's working, if you want to sell in one of the world's largest gamer markets, you redesign your products and that regulation actually functions as intended.
Yeah, like this is something the EU has done well in the last few years,
Yeah.
is to bring in these laws about replaceable batteries and USB-C on phones. And also, even if Apple complied with the USB-C phones requirement, barest possible sense.
Yeah.
Like the port is there, you can charge, you can transfer data through it, but it only runs at USB 2 speeds instead of proper USB C speeds. So, yeah, I think if Nintendo got too egregious about it, then the EU would give them some sort of punishment. But we'll
I,
have to wait and see in a couple of years.
Yeah. Do you think so? You reckon EU's approach to this legislating repairability is the right idea, or should this be something the market solves on its own?
Well, it's not really an option the market is giving us. There are very few repairable tech products available to buy. Like, if we look at phones,
Oh
I
yeah,
think there's
Nokia, for example.
no. Nokia is not even that easy to repair.
I mean, back in the day, it used to be like remember the
Yeah, but
usable.
in the last 10,
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
what is the brand? I've forgotten. Is it Nothing to have a repair scheme? Like everything is modular, so it's
Um,
relatively easy to repair.
repair scheme, phone repair, a brand.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to find it.
Oh, here we go. If you're not, I type on Google. If your nothing smartphone is damaged, you can offer an official mail-in repair request.
No, I found it.
Oh, you found it?
The
Oh, well,
Fairphone.
Fairphone,
Yeah,
as in FAIR or
yeah.
Fairphone. Wow, that is actually No
The
way.
idea behind it is that it can be fixed with very basic tools. If there's the framework laptop, but both of them are very recent products compared to everything else. And yeah, they're a response to the demand for repairable devices, but we're not really getting an option for it in most markets because the Fairphone, last I heard, is only available in Europe. The framework is available in most places now, but it took a couple of years to roll out. So they exist, but they're specialty products.
Yeah.
And I think the market isn't really giving us the option to have repairable devices apart from specialty products like that.
If Australia were to introduce something similar to right to repair legislation tomorrow, what industries do you think would push back hardest and why?
The same ones we've seen everywhere. So the big manufacturers will push back against it because they don't want to have to deal with a aftermarket supply chain and designing for repairability.
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
Apple would rather you go out and buy a brand new phone if you damage yours.
Oh shit.
Same for Google and Samsung. It's a sort of planned obsolescence that you can't replace the batteries in phones because those are the wear items. Like the hardware in your phone is good for much longer than the battery will. So I've actually been working on a project among my many projects, to convert a couple of old phones into like Raspberry Pis, sort of.
Yeah.
So I've got a stack of old phones. The batteries are all cactus. They don't get new operating systems, but so they're no good on as phones. But if I could take the battery out and replace it with either leave it out or replace it with a dummy battery so that they don't swell up and burn my house down, then I would turn them into little servers or something like that.
Okay. So basically you've recycled the product.
Yeah, and I was working on another project a few months back, which thank you. I've forgotten what his YouTube Tucker something, but he goes by Lemon Jesus on GitHub. I have some old iPads that I was trying to turn into. Well, they're not supported by Apple anymore, and can't get any modern apps, so they're not even good for web browsing or anything. I wanted to turn the screens from them into touchscreen displays so I could make MFDs for flight sim. And I was digging through manuals and data sheets and stuff, and then YouTube suggests a video by this guy, Tucker slash Lemon Jesus.
Tucker Osmond, that's his actual.
Thank you, Osmond, Tucker Osmond. It suggests a video by him explaining exactly how to do it. And I'm like, okay. Like, it literally came out one day when I was a week into this project, trying to work out if it was possible, if anyone had done it before me, all that. And I'm like, cool. So yeah, I'm big on recycling old devices but if there was an aftermarket parts supply, or especially if they had open software, like if I could boot into Linux on an iPad, that would be just amazing. But
Yeah.
you can't.
Yep.
You can do it on some phones. So, yeah, my point is that they lock things down in hardware and software to make it harder to recycle and reuse them so that when they get to the end of their useful life as a phone, because the battery is, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do, and it's erased, and you have to buy a new one.
What's interesting about this entire thing though is you know how back in the day whenever a product is you want to get a product repaired and you have to go through you have to call the company and go through all of the loopholes just to get to speak to your manager about it and get it repaired and all that. Now it's basically okay, if my product doesn't work and you can't fix my product, I'll go to my ombudsman or my government representatives to get this stuff fixed.
Yeah, but also remember that up until fairly recently, historic, we've been able to repair our own cars and our own computers and phones and stuff.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
customization was insanely cool back in the
yeah,
day.
but even before customization, like up until the 80s, I think, I'm not sure I've seen anything do it after these. You would get circuit diagrams in the manual or in the back of the computer, of the case of the computer or TV or radio or whatever. So it would tell you what parts were in there, and you could go and get those parts and do a repair.
Oh, damn.
These days, to get that kind of access, you have to rely on somebody stealing the circuit diagrams from a factory in China.
Yeah.
Lewis Rossman has a lot of videos about this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah, he used to do videos about laptop repair for Apple laptops. These days, he's much more on the activism side, talking about right to repair. But the board view that he uses, I'm pretty sure he said once was stolen from the factory.
Have you seen have you seen Lewis Rossman's newest adventure?
The one where he's suing Samsung.
Yep.
Yeah, so in the last couple of days, he started to sue Samsung because he bought a SSD for $300 or whatever it was a year ago, and it was still in warranty and it failed. Then he sent it back to them because it was failing. They tested it and said, no, it's not failing, it's all perfectly fine, and sent it back. I might be getting some of the details out of order, but anyway, after some arguing with the with Samsung, they're like, okay, we'll give you a refund of $300 for this broken SSD, and that really rubbed him the wrong way because the same SSD is now over $900.
What?
Yeah, so for him to buy a new SSD would cost him 3 times as much, and he's not happy with that. So he's taking Samsung to court
Yeah, and
because, yeah, replace or refund under warranty. He reckons that there's some argument that he's entitled to a replacement rather than a refund. And I'm really interested to see how this goes because I don't doubt that he's not the only one who's screwed over by the price of things going up recently.
yeah. I mean, we're heading towards a world where your consumer rights are geographically determined by which trading block.
That's always been the case.
Yeah, I mean, EU residents get repairable devices, longer warranty protections, and meaningful data rights. Everyone else gets what the manufacturer prefers to ship. And the question of where you're born is increasingly also the question of what protections you're entitled to. As a nobody in the gaming space is talking about that seriously enough.
Yeah, but that's always been the case that the rights and laws that you're bound by and entitled to are different depending on where you were born. And that's like, it's not something you can control. You can't decide, hey, I want to be a white guy born in Australia where I have decent consumer rights and nobody will be racist to me. Just as you can't decide, hey, I want to be a Ethiopian orphan and starve to death at 5 years old.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's an interesting philosophical discussion about rights and entitlements and
And
how they
laws.
apply because you can't really choose. Right, it's very hard to jump ship and move country to you have more rights than the one you were born in. Usually, those countries aren't taking as many immigrants because otherwise everyone would just jump on the boat and get there. But yeah, so that's why getting off in the weeds here. People who are anti-immigration and also anti-foreign aid are shooting themselves in the foot because if they weren't, if the foreign aid was helping the people overseas, they would be less likely to want to come to your country.
Yeah, I don't want to get into this argument about this. I've got no horse in this race. Maybe we could talk about this for sometime down the track, but I'm not going to step
Nah,
into that
screw it. This is a
landmine.
politics cast now.
Oh
I'm
my
starting
god!
my own political party. We're going to be about getting fiber to the home for everyone, and we're going to be called the Land Party.
No. I-
I've been sitting on that for years. Years and years, I've been sitting on that joke about starting the Land Party. And now the government's actually going and installing fiber to the home for everyone. So
Yay!
I didn't have to do anything. I just had to sit on my butt for 10 years.
Oh man. Hey, at least we don't have to go to space to get stuff done, okay?
I want to go to space. Beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here.
Yeah, yeah, but then then how are you gonna survive in space, huh? Are you gonna farm your way through space?
I've seen The Martian. I could figure it out.
Well, on to our next topic about in relation to farming. A team from San Diego have developed a method to grow and repeatedly harvest pharmaceuticals from plants under space-like conditions without destroying the plants or generating large amounts of waste. The core problem it's solving: many drugs degrade more quickly in space, even aboard the ISS. More than half of medications have been found to expire within 3 years, which is barely long enough for a Mars mission running around 200 days each way. The proposed solution is using drugs as mini pharmaceutical factories. Plants can grow complex therapeutic compounds using just light, water, and soil. A major advantage over conventional pharmaceutical manufacturing systems that require giant tanks and sterile environments.
Yeah, this brings to mind two thoughts. One
Yeah.
thing is that it reminds me of a study I saw a few months ago where they took a plant and injected genes to make it produce like psilocybin. Psilocybin, the chemical, I think it is psilocybin and LSD, a whole bunch of psychoactive compounds. And the other thought is, "Ow, I've got a headache. Pass me a Panadol split."
Damn.
I'm assuming they would actually take the plant and process it further. But the idea of having a plant with like having to smoke all of your medicines is just funny.
It's like, hey, I got a bit of a backache. Give me that Panadol joint. Give me that joint.
Yeah. Or if you've got an astronaut with ADHD, smoke some Ritalin.
Oh, no. Remember the other time we were talking about Ozempic and weed? Oh man, a joint of Ozempic. Give me that.
I think that's actually called a cigarette. Apparently, that's an appetite suppressant.
Oh yeah.
Never tried it myself.
Oh.
But, yeah, that
Oh.
I do now suddenly remember an article I saw a few days ago
Yeah.
about a woman with dementia who was like end stage dementia on the way out, couldn't care for herself, could barely make this, a really tragic place to be. And they dosed her up with 5 grams of magic mushrooms. According to the article, 1 to 2 grams is a regular dose,
Yeah.
and it caused her brain to like temporarily rewire itself, and she was able to walk and talk. And a month later it was wearing off, so they gave her another dose and it extended it again.
Yeah, I'm seeing yeah,
So
I'm seeing
that's all sort of unrelated wild plant science, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the actual paper, and the therapeutic compound at the center of it is the cowpea mosaic virus, a plant virus that the team has studied over a decade for its ability to stimulate the immune system to attack cancer cells, showing strong anti-tumor effects in preclinical mouse models and clinical studies in canine cancer treatment. The innovation is in extraction. Now, getting the virus out of the plant means picking leaves and grinding them, producing something resembling a smoothie.
Okay, it's even better. You're not smoking your Panadol,
You're
you're having a
drinking.
green smoothie.
Oh man, K- dude, I just thought of a
I'm gonna
funny.
make a smoothie with some kale and some Panadol and
Even better, can you imagine all your smoothie places like Boost and and your bubble tea bars? All right, guys, we got okay. We're gonna put Panadol and some steroids as well into it. Oh man,
this is getting weird.
I know. So the problem with it is that the team needs to purify the product fills an entire lab which cannot fit on a spacecraft. So the team's workaround is plants secrete products in compartments inside the leaves called the apoplast. by submerging leaves in a buffer solution, applying a vacuum to flood the apoplast, and gently spinning the saturated leaves in a centrifuge. The researchers can draw out the liquid containing CPMV particles without destroying the leaves. The liquid is then filtered to separate the CPMV from smaller unwanted plant material. So you're basically making tea leaves.
Okay. It's probably more medicinal than most medicinal thing to be.
Yeah. And from this, there's a dual bonus to this. So it could also bring cheap pharmacy production to remote or low resource settings on Earth.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah. I'm
That's the
wondering.
cool thing about space exploration.
Hmm,
Almost everything we learn up there can be applied to Earth.
yeah. Although it makes you wonder though. If plants can already be grown on ISS, like why hasn't anyone tried this before? Like what took people so long to do this?
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, and there hasn't been a need.
Like, if you go for space missions, like there, you do have to take some medicines, and asthma medication, for example, and that would be some priorities to it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but all space missions so far have been either very healthy, would need or minimal time between resupplies. So they talk about medicine that expires in a few years. We haven't had a space mission that lasts that long yet. That
Yes.
hasn't been resupplied. But if you were going to send someone to Mars, it would cause an issue if the medicine expired in a couple of years because it takes so long to get to Mars and back.
Yeah. What's also interesting that now we can grow cancer drugs in a plant on a spaceship. Why are pharmaceutical manufacturing on Earth so expensive and inaccessible?
Well, we could talk about the reason for that for a very long, but mostly it's because discovering new medicine is an expensive process. The manufacturing isn't that expensive. What you'll see often is that medicine that goes out of its patent period will be cloned by multiple other companies and they'll make generic versions that are much cheaper.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So, is growing your own medicine the logical endpoint in terms of do-it-yourself biohacking, or
Yeah, uh, kinda.
yeah? Would
The
you be
YouTube
terrified?
channel Thought Emporium did a video a few years ago where they treated their lactose intolerance by creating lactase producing bacteria and drinking a sample to colonize their gut with. And it actually had a significant impact on their lactose tolerance for a few years, if I remember correctly. So I could see someone like that creating their own medicine use plans.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well. My biggest question is going to be, since it's ISS, it's made in the ISS, governments will be wanting this tech. And imagine if a government agency starts deploying this tomorrow for humanitarian reasons, like what's going to stop them? And is the answer going to be
Well,
depressing?
what I'm not seeing here is any reason why it has to be produced in space. So these plants could grow on Earth, and that is the point the article makes that could revolutionize medicine for poor countries. And I think that a lot of poor countries where they would have a benefit from growing their own medicine aren't signatories of international treaties to restrict copyright, and or if so, they don't enforce it very. So
So is it a science? So if, for those that cannot be this technology that can't be deployed in tomorrow in remote countries, so is it a science problem or a politics and money problem?
it's a politics problem. Like they've demonstrated this, so if they're able to expand this to other medications and drugs, it's a politics problem about whether the plants can be grown and where how much you need to I've lost that train of thought. How much you need to do to keep track of your plant, like the Monsanto things with GMO crops. They do inspections, and you're not allowed to regrow the crop using seed from your previous harvest. You've got to buy all new seed divisions. But also, plants are plants, and they will grow wherever they want. So once this is out in the wild, there's nothing stopping it.
Oh yeah, Yeah. Speaking of nothing stopping it though, big pharma would also be interested in this tech, and we all know big pharma's entire business model depends on controlling the means of drug production. Does this represent a threat to that model, or you reckon they are paying attention to this?
Yeah, it's a threat because it's a cheaper way to produce medicine than having a great big biolab.
Yeah, yeah. What's good? This reminds me now. Which is going to be a bigger threat, the biolabs or the data centers? Which one would you rather have in your
Hey,
city?
we can end the world in multiple ways at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, but would you ever take it though? A plant grown medication?
Yeah, it's the same chemical.
Sure, sure, but then there's always my other fear when it comes to space grown stuff would be the fact that it'd be like can they be mutant free? I mean, we've seen so many horror movies of like, oh, this was grown in space. Oh no, the mutation has happened.
Yeah, that would be a concern, but I think not on the scale that a human mission to Mars would, because a human mission to Mars would take a couple of years, and we'd want to have radiation shielding for the humans on board, so we would also shield the plants.
Yeah. So we should move to our final topic, and it is the death of Doctor Who. I'm gonna say it's the death.
Not bad.
So, uh, the short version of this thing is basically the 2026 Doctor Who Christmas special is dead, and showrunner Russell T Davies and production company Bad Wolf are out, and the BBC is starting over.
Yeah, so not dead.
It is dead. It'll take like how long do you think it's gonna be? You reckon it'll take before the BBC start over? It's not gonna be like 1 week or 2 week later. You're like, oh, we're back in business, everybody.
It's not dead. Dead means it's not coming back. People who are dead don't come back.
Okay, yes, you got me there.
And at this point, although it's on shaky ground, there's no sign that it is completely dead and never coming back. The
Uh,
BBC have made it clear that they're still working.
Yeah, but the BBC's statement framed the cancellation as a long-term investment, though, rather than bridging the gap with a one-off special.
Yeah,
They chose to push forward and invest in the show's long-term future, so that when the TARDIS lands one more, it does so in all its glory.
yeah, they're basically saying they're not satisfied with what's going on at the moment and they're going to try to make it better, just with more marketing speed.
And and Doctor Who for you and I, we both know it is a flagship of the BBC.
Yep,
It's a flagship program, and this decision, apart from what BBC have said, is it has not been taken lightly, and we know it'll be disappointing for fans. But in order to set the show up for future series, it was decided rather than bridge the gap, blah blah blah, as I said earlier.
yeah. And it's also one of the few BBC shows that is internationally popular. I don't think they have Top Gear or anything.
No, no, Top Gear. I think it's done.
Yeah. So that means that of the top three that they had 10 years ago, whenever it was that I saw it, it was like the top three shows were Doctor Who, Coronation Street, and Top Gear, not in that particular order. But the idea is that Doctor Who is so internationally famous that it brings in a lot more than it really costs them to make. Although it is getting more difficult to make quality TV because the cost of everything keeps going up, especially for sci-fi where you can't just reuse your sets all the.
Yeah.
And that was one of the hopes that the production value would go up a lot with Disney. And it is true that they did get some better production value to an extent. But then when it came down to it, the Disney deal, since the BBC needed Disney to agree to greenlight season 3 before they could start working on it, Disney dragged it out until the last possible minute. So Shooty Gatwa decided, I'm not hanging around if I'm not going to get to work. And he resigned. So, yeah, I don't know that the Disney deal has ended up being a positive.
Yeah, it's gonna be it. Now that Disney and basically Bad Wolf has basically wash their hands of this, who's actually gonna take over the Doctor Who? Like, what does a competitive tender process even look like, and how long do you reckon it will take?
Yeah, I think it's going to be at least a year we see it.
Really, I was trolling over
Apart
Twitter.
from the animated series,
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
they're
true.
making one for children,
I
which
was.
sounds funny because Doctor Who is for children, but they're making a small child for CBBC, I think it's
Mm,
called.
okay. What's it? I've been seeing some reports, some conflicting reports. Some are saying we could see a new Doctor Who until 2027. Some are saying up to 2031. So it's kind of, I don't know. The numbers keep changing. What's happening? Or when are we going to see a new Doctor Who series?
Well,
But
2031 is another 5 years away. I don't think it's going to be off air for 5 years without being fully cancelled.
yeah, some saying 28 as well.
Yeah, I think 2028 is realistic. Somewhere between late 2027 and early 2028, I think. But the most important thing is that we stand strong because this is the longest Doctor Who has been off air since the original cancellation.
Oh
And
yeah.
last time Doctor Who was off air for 18 months prior to its cancellation, Hans Zimmer and a bunch of other people together and performed the song Doctor in Distress.
Remember that? You posted that. We were talking
Yes,
about this the other night.
every time someone mentions Doctor Who getting cancelled, that gets stuck in my head. I won't sing it for you because it's not a very good song. It was released as a charity single and it made no money,
Oh
but it
man.
featured so many big names, including Hans Zimmer. And the chorus is Doctor in Distress, let's all answer his SOS. Doctor in Distress. No, wait, not that bit. But I'm thinking, yeah, Doctor in Distress, bring him back now, we won't take less. And it also features the line 18 months is too long to wait. Well, they didn't know what was going to happen a couple of years after that.
If who okay, if let's say for example, some magical soul decides to take this poison chalice, okay? Will the recent regeneration, which is Billy Piper Rose, Tyler's regeneration, still be honored? Or you reckon it'll be just be ignored at this point?
I think it's likely to be ignored. I really want an answer, but I feel like it's going to be ignored. And I hope we get an answer. I hope it's not going to be too long before more Doctor Who. But I'm not even sure Russell T Davies knew how he was going to write his way out of it and cast Billy Piper. I mean, I'm amazed they managed to keep that a secret up until the airing of the episode. And
And plus, Russell resurrected the franchise once already. I mean, holy shit,
yeah,
he couldn't. He still couldn't make it work now. Like, what does this say about the IP legacy IP revival industry at this point? Like, is nostalgia just not bankable anymore?
I don't think that. I think Russell was unable to make it work because Russell is also significantly older and less creative than he was back in 2005.
Yeah, to me, I see it as like the whole franchise is suffering a death by a thousand cuts. I mean, you see Nkuti Gatwa quitting, you see Disney Plus walking out, you see the ratings going down the drain, and now with the Christmas special being cancelled. At what point does the fandom have a moral obligation to ask whether they're in this franchise just as a I'm gonna stay even if it's gone to shit?
Well, everyone's allowed to stay even if it's gone to shit. Want to? I mean, I watched all 4 seasons of Snowpiercer.
You were a glutton for punishment on that one.
Yeah, season 4 was bad.
I
So
I
you
do
can stick around if you want to, or you can go. It's an inclusive fandom. You can hang around if you want.
also the other thing you have to also ask is when you mentioned Disney Plus being involved, seeing a 60-year-old franchise not surviving in the streaming era, that's crazy. I mean, you look at YouTubers. Remember the YouTube to Hollywood story we were talking about last week?
Yeah.
And how new creators are eating old media's lunch. Is it What's wild is a 60-year-old franchise can't survive in the streaming era, while a 25-year-old with a camera and a YouTube channel builds a bigger audience for breakfast.
Okay, but how many of them are going to be cultural icons in 60 years?
Yeah, good point. You had me
You
there.
can't compare something that happened 10 minutes ago to something that's been built up for 60 years.
But it is an interesting case study, though. Would you agree?
I think it's an interesting, like, you might be able to look at it and take a few lessons from YouTube content for to revive Doctor Who. But I also think that, yeah, you can't really compare the two
Yeah, that's
because
true.
YouTube content, well, one thing is that we've got 60 years of Doctor Who. The world has changed over those 60, and we're looking at a possible cancellation. So should they start being more like YouTube creators? I don't know. But I think they need some fresh blood in revive it
Do,
rather than bringing back the greatest hits again and again.
do you reckon though Doctor Who has do you reckon Doctor Who being reset for a third time? Do you reckon it has stopped becoming being a living creative work and has now become a zombie IP? Like it's just kept purely by brand equity and institutional inertia rather than genuine cultural vitality.
No, there are a lot of people who, probably even people working at the BBC, who would be happy to see Doctor Who cancelled, just like there were back in 1980, whatever. But I don't think that's because it's culturally irrelevant. I think that's because they've tried and failed to do something with the greatest hits by bringing back Russell Davies and David Tennant. The David Tennant episodes are actually pretty good.
You mean the one with Neil Patrick Harris?
Yeah, that trio of episodes.
Yeah,
The
I
Star
mean,
Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and what did they call that one? I can't remember off the top of my head. But as a lifelong, I've enjoyed the last couple of years a lot more than I enjoyed most of the Jodie Whittaker years.
I I think I told you about this a while back. The Jodie Whittaker years, they were they were not they were okay to me. I just found the whole like the it just turned from like I'm still clinging to the trio, the magic trio of Tennant, Smith, and Capaldi. They were the fun one.
Yeah,
Uh,
and a lot of people feel the same way.
yeah,
But a
because
lot of people dropped off with Peter Capaldi as well.
yeah, because if I remember correctly, the Capaldi years there were the writing was not as sound as it was during the Tennant and Smith years, if I recall correctly. Or
Yeah,
am
the
I
first
mistaken?
year of Capaldi was a bit rough.
Yeah.
The rest of it was
Okay. Yeah,
like
because
we've got some of the best Doctor Who episodes ever out of.
yeah, I still remember the I think because they play because one of the Capaldi years was when they after they had the Day of the Doctor. It was he finds Gallifrey and he's like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so that started shortly after Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
There was that. There was
The
Time of the Doctor, I think it was called, which was Matt Smith's final episode. Then they introduced Capaldi.
Yep. Yeah, and then they had moments like Missy being the master, which I still think that was fun.
Oh yes, Michelle Gomez was an amazing master. And then we had that two-parter set on the Mondasian ship falling into the black hole,
Oh yeah, yeah.
where they had Missy and the
The fir-
master.
the other master, yeah. And
Yeah,
Billy's like, I've been waiting for you this entire time.
yeah, those were some good episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, then a lot of people fell off with Jodie Whittaker because the quality of the writing went down quite a bit. There
Oh
were
yeah.
some good episodes with Jodie
The,
Whittaker, and I want to make it absolutely clear because people will absolutely take this the wrong way. I have nothing against Jodie Whittaker as an actress. My problem is with the writing, which is Chris Chibnall's.
oh yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who went off saying, "Oh, not my doctor. You can't have a woman doctor." No, that's not nothing like it. The problem
okay,
is absolutely the writing
I
because
agree
she
that
did
I
that one. She did that one clip at the beginning of COVID that felt so much more doctory than almost anything she did in the actual show.
Yeah, I also have no problems with Jodie as an actress.
Hold on, the
She
Hoons are
played.
back.
I totally agree with you. Joey Whittaker as an actress, fine, cool. The writing was just terrible, especially the remember the Promised Child episode?
Timeless child.
Yeah, that's the one, the Timeless Child episode, which went which was like, what the hell did you do?
Yeah, they decided to really mess with them. But
Like,
ignoring the Timeless Child arc, there were a couple of good episodes. I
yeah,
really
and
enjoyed It Takes You.
but as I said, the writing was just it just didn't click to me. It was just at the end of every Jodie Whittaker, at the end of every episode with that one, it was just basically I need to be lectured on the on them evils of the modern world. I'm like, I don't need this
Hey, that wasn't
now.
every episode. That was just Orphan 55.
I was rooting for the master more than the doctor the entire run, which was even more weirder, which I shouldn't be doing.
I reckon Doctor Who isn't dead yet. It's not dead until it's off air for a few years or BBC makes an announcement saying it's officially cancelled.
So you're
And I
really
doubt they will do that soon.
so you're really gonna be like so you're gonna be like that those 80s athletics movies where it ain't over until the fat lady sings.
Exactly.
You have a lot of confidence, I'll give you that.
Well, why would they shut down the one of the shows that is their biggest shows without trying everything they can first?
Okay. I mean, historically, whenever a showrunner the big a big show, that's always the biggest red flag for. Okay, it's slowly dying. I mean, look at Adventure Time, for example. When their lead showrunner ran decided to walk away. Nope, and the show just quality just declined and it got cancelled ultimately.
Yeah. And how many showrunners has Doctor Who had? Years?
Oh, I would say plenty. I can't think
Plenty.
of off the top of
It
my head.
had nothing to do with the showrunner leaving. Last time there were people at the BBC who absolutely wanted to run Doctor Who into the so
And,
unless there are people like that at the BBC at the moment, I doubt they're going to outright cancel it. And anyway,
mm,
even if they do,
okay,
even if Doctor Who never comes back,
okay.
it's had a bloody good run. How many shows, especially sci-fi shows, get more than 2 seasons these days?
Yeah.
And Doctor Who has had 20, well, not 20, it's been going for 20 years now. Before
How,
that, I think there were 26 of the original run. Then we've got, I've lost count. We've had 20 years of Doctor Who since 2005. How many shows get a run like that?
off the top of my head, I'm thinking Red Dwarf.
Yeah, Red Dwarf keeps coming back. They
Yep.
can't seem to stop it. Although I do wonder now that what's his name? Doug Naylor was he died recently.
Yeah.
So I do wonder what will happen to Red Dwarf.
Uh, I think like maybe his son could take over it, or maybe like one of his kids. So it'll depend on the BB. No, not Doug Naylor. Rob Grant.
That's right. I saw an article saying it was Doug Naylor's thoughts on Rob Grant's passing or something. That's probably what confused me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, yeah, you're right. Doctor Who had a good run, and I mean, it'll depend on it's going to depend on BBC and how they take and how they fix the problem.
Yeah.
But
The one thing I don't get
hmm,
is all the gloating. Like it hasn't even been officially cancelled yet, and there is so much gloating about being cancelled.
I mean, like as I said, whenever a big showrunner leaves, it's the biggest sign. Like, okay, nope, it's a write off. So I think that's because I mean, also the other thing you have to notice is it's Russell T Davies, and he saved Doctor Who twice, and he saved Doctor Who twice, and the second time it didn't take.
All right. Well, I do have some final thoughts on this. I
Okay,
think one thing that has to change is
the messaging.
the writing
Yeah.
because don't give me that messaging bullshit. Doctor Who has always been woke. He had a
I-
gay kiss in 2005.
I'm not saying it's work. I'm just saying Doctor Who used to be aspirational. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Right. Anyway, I think there was a lot of talk about Chris Chibnall taking over because nobody else wanted him. Then
Mm,
Russell T Davies came back again, ostensibly because nobody wanted the job. I don't think it's that nobody wants to write for Doctor Who. I think it's that nobody wants to be the sole showrunner and have that much writing on. So I think the one of the changes that needs to be made is to move to a writer's room style.
Or is that would that multiple right 5 or 6 writers to do an episode? That's a creative risk.
No, it's what I'm thinking is having half a dozen writers who each write an individual episode and have someone who stitches it all together into a coherent plot, rather than because with Doctor Who in the last 20 years, most of the episodes have been written by the showrunner. So I think that's one of the big changes, and that might change the tone of the show. But I think it's one of the big changes that might have to be made to keep it going in this current climate. Like you were saying them about the YouTubers, there might be a few lessons to be learned from them. I'm not sure what lessons, but I think the one lesson that I can identify is have a writer's room rather than a single showrunner writing everything.
As much as I like the whole writers' room idea, I think that's a bit of a gamble. We've seen movies with like 5 or 6 writers, and they always have. My biggest problem with it would be the conflicting visions. I mean, one writer might have a totally different writing style to another writer.
Yeah.
That'd be one of my concerns about it. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
it'd be a good idea.
yeah, I don't think they can avoid it because nobody wants to be the showrunner.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of people who want to write for it. Nobody wants to showrunner.
Hey, hey, hey! Imagine having Doug Naylor as the as the showrunner.
Well, there's sort of precedent for that.
Oh no way!
Not Doug Naylor, but Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah,
He worked on Doctor Who for
how did that pan out when they?
pretty well.
Okay, okay. Although if Doug Naylor does become the showrunner for Doctor Who, I want to see the Doctor say Smeg. Just
Yep.
for just for laughs and be like, oh, imagine he says Smeg every time he regenerates. Oh, Smeg, I'm gonna regenerate, and have Crichton as the as the head of the Cybermen.
That would be a weird crossover, but not one I don't want to see. It feels
Anyway,
like a Curse of the Fatal Death.
I don't want to think about it, and I don't want to talk.
It's
We
a
should.
comedy special
Yep.
featuring, like, it was written by Stephen Moffat before he wrote for Doctor Who, but it's a comedy special featuring Rowan Atkinson as the Doctor.
Was he in Mr. Bean? Was he in the Mr. Bean character or a different
No,
character? Oh, okay. Here's a wild idea though. Before we move on to the shout outs, could you see an American showrunner do Doctor Who, or would you rather stick it to it's a British show? It should have a British showrunner.
I think probably stick with a British showrunner because I don't think a lot of. I'm sure there are some who could do it, but I think changing to an American showrunner would change the tone. And they tried that back in the 90s.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, we should move on. We'll be back with our shout outs and wacky movie. And Professor, onto our shout outs. Professor, what's our messed up moment in nerddom this week?
Have you ever heard of a man named Terrell?
Oh, yes, I have.
All right. Well, Terrell was a man who lived in France in the late 1700s. He had a huge appetite and could eat his own body weight in a single day.
Oh, I yeah, if I distinctly, I've heard that story years ago, but if I recall correctly, that guy has a stump. That guy has an appetite that, yeah, not many, even hot dog eaters would would die for.
Yeah, oh, he did die there.
Shit.
He travelled around France with thieves and prostitutes stealing and begging before joining a travelling charlatan. He would perform by eating corks, stones, live animals, and entire baskets of apples.
Shit.
Yep. Eventually, he moved to Paris and became a street performer. He had an intestinal obstruction, was taken to hospital where he was treated and made a full recovery. And he offered to demonstrate his act by eating the surgeon's watch and chain. The surgeon was unimpressed and said that he would cut him open to get the watch back. Anyway, despite eating all of this, Terrell was slim and average height. He apparently had an abnormally wide mouth. When he had not eaten, his skin hung loosely. When full, his abdomen distended like a huge balloon. When he opened his mouth wide, he could fit 12 eggs or apples in his mouth.
Oh, man.
That feels like a large size difference. I'm guessing they had smaller apples back then. But the report also says that his body was hot to the touch and he sweated heavily. He constantly smelled bad, to the degree that he could not be endured within 20 paces. The smell was worse after he had eaten. His eyes and cheeks became bloodshot, and a visible vapor rose from his body.
You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember that episode, Tales of Interest on Futurama? Where, Bender
Yes,
be
when Bender becomes.
Yeah.
Doesn't Crichton do the same thing in that one episode of Red Dwarf?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
But
No, I'm thinking of the episode where Rimmer and Lister swap bodies,
oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Rimmer runs Lister's body in the ground.
Yeah. I remember
But
that.
yeah, so Terre joined the French Revolutionary Army. He was given a quadruple ration, which, but he was still hungry. We're getting some big hungry caterpillar vibes here. He ate garbage, scraps of food left by other patients and in the military hospital, and stole food. Eventually, they decided to test his capacity for food by feeding him a meal for 15. He ate the entire meal and then immediately fell asleep.
What was the meal? Any idea?
It says here 2 large meat pies, plates of grease and salt, and 4 gallons of milk. He was also witnessed to eat animals alive by tearing them apart with his teeth. When he returned to active duty, they suggested that they could use him as a courier. He would eat a wooden box with a message in it and retrieve it from the other end. So he worked as a spy. His first assignment was to carry a message to a French colonel imprisoned by the Prussians. He was told the messages were of great significance, but in reality, the message was a note asking for the colonel to confirm the message had been received and to reply with any information about the Prussian troop moves. Terre disguised himself as a German peasant. He was captured because he could not speak German.
Oh.
He refused to talk and was imprisoned by the Prussians. After 24 hours, he relented, was chained to a latrine, and 30 hours after swallowing the wooden box, it emerged. The Prussian commander, General Zogli, was furious because the documents which Terre had said were vital intelligence were a dummy message, fake execution, then took him down, beat him, and released him near the French lines. So he spent some time in and out of hospital being tested and treated, and no one could find a solution until he was evicted from the hospital after a toddler disappeared. Several years later, he returned to the hospital and met up with the doctor who had been treating him and said that he had believed that he had eaten a golden fork which was stuck inside him and killing him. The doctor recognized that he actually had tuberculosis. When they autopsied him, his esophagus was found to be abnormally wide, and they could see from his jaws straight down into his stomach. His body was full of pus, his liver and gallbladder were abnormally large, and his stomach was enormous, covered in ulcers and filling most of his abdominal cavity. And the final line of the article is no fork was found.
Shit. Man, that guy is a black hole, if anything.
Yeah, I thought I ate all.
Uh-huh. Just be thankful you don't be thankful you don't have to be subjected medical experiments and ridicule and whatnot.
Yeah, and probably be thankful for my friends' kids that I'm not too rare.
Uh-huh. Oh, that guy. That's bloody wild now. I think about it.
Yep.
Anyway, anyways, on to our wacky movie. On the 9th of June 1978, The Cat from Outer Space premiered in the US. Walt Disney's The Cat from Outer Space premiered, and here is the plot summary. 3 scientists help an alien feline stranded on Earth to repair its damaged spacecraft in order to return home, but their efforts are hampered by inept army officials and foreign spies. This movie was directed by Norman Tokar, his final film before his death the following year, starring Ken Barry, Sandy Duncan, Harry Morgan, Ronnie Schnell, Roddy McDowell, and McLean Stevenson. Produced by Walt Disney Pictures, was shot at the Golden Oaks Studios Golden Oaks Ranch and Santa Clarita, California. It paired Harry Morgan with McLean Stevenson, whom Morgan had replaced on MASH 3 years prior. For those who are familiar with those names, Harry Morgan played as Sherman T. Potter in MASH, and Blake And McLean Stevenson was, oh, correctly in MASH, he was Colonel Blake. Yeah, Colonel Henry Blake in MASH. So yeah, that's a interesting MASH fact for you. Jake the cat was played by two different Abyssinian cats, Rumpel and his sister Amber. There was a comic book adaptation that was published, which included an adaptation of Disney earlier, The Shaggy Dog, which aired in '99. And this movie has an interesting goof, which is early in the film, Frank and Jake discuss queuing the bar of gold necessary to repair the ship. During the discussion, Jake says he to reduce it while retaining all its property. Later, when Jake reduced the gold to a size of a small pencil, Liz easily picks it up. If the reduced gold had retained all its original property that Jake said, it would have had the same mass as the bar of gold.
And that's why Ant-Man sucks, because it's inconsistent about applying the rule that it has the same mass but smaller, like higher density.
What was it that term? Law of conservation of mass. Anyways, that's all we have for this week. You can find us on Spotify and all your platforms, on YouTube. We also do Twitch streaming as well. You can also find us on our social media such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or X. So stay happy, stay nerdy. See you guys.
Look after yourselves and stay hydrated, scum queens. I remembered.